Hi everyone. I just wanted to put a short video up there to talk to you about your assignment 2, just to go over a few things that might help to clarify, might answer a few questions um, as you move from assignment 1 into assignment 2. So by now everyone should have assignment 1 back. You'll have read it through, looked at some of the feedback that you received. Assignment 2 really builds on assignment 1. So you stick with the same case, you stick with the same issue, and now in assignment 1 you really try to understand it, try to think about the context, try to think about the issue itself. In assignment 2 you move from that and you start thinking about, okay, now that I know about this issue, now that I understand the context that it's in, what can I actually do? What can I do? So you want to look at your own identity and you want to look at strategies for change. So let's just take a look at the rubric together and we can talk through a little bit what it is that you want to be focusing on. So as before, as in assignment 1, you are required to participate in 4 forums. And again, in this assignment, you can participate in forums between week 5 and week 11. So what that involves is you posting, as you know, an original response to the readings, and also then posting at least one response to somebody else's posting. So that's the first part. It's the same as before. It's just that you decide which 4 forums to participate in. Again, you don't need to submit that as part of your assessment. We can see on the forums when and where and how you are participating. Now, moving into the actual case study or the actual assignment. So part 1, you want to revisit the case. So you want to go back. You've already written about this all in assignment 1, but now just give us a really succinct summary. So you're summarizing the case and the issue. So you might briefly put it into context, explain again, justify why it's a significant issue. And maybe there was something that one of your tutors mentioned that you needed to fill in a little bit more. This would be a good place to put that in. So you want to just kind of set it up, remind us about what your issue is, what your case is, why it's something important to study. Then that's quite short. It's about 400 words we've said there. Then you want to get into the next section, which is really focused on who you are in this. And so for this, you might be simply talking about what your role is if you are thinking through an organization that you are currently working in, or it might be you kind of choosing a role or imagining a role that you could play. Think through, if you're choosing a role, what would be an appropriate role in order to make change in your context. So is it a teacher? Is it a policymaker? Is it a principal? Is it a team leader of some kind? So either who are you in this? What kind of role do you embody in this in your context? Either real or imaginary. And then what you'll want to do is really think through about your own identity as a leader. So for this, in many ways, it's a personal reflection, but it's grounded in the readings. So you want to pull the readings from module 2 or part 2 of the unit, the ones that are focused on leadership and identity, or leadership and the self. And so, for example, we had readings on emotional intelligence. So you might want to talk about that and what you learned from the readings, and then talk about your own strength in that area and how that might help you work with your colleagues in the school to lead the implementation of some new approach, or whatever else it was that spoke to you from the readings that you can identify with, you can talk about in terms of your own identity. In the next section, in section 3, you create an actual plan, a basic plan to make change on your chosen issue. How are you actually going to make that happen? So how might that be designed? How might it be implemented? And how might it be sustained? So again, you really want to bring in the readings. And this time, these are the readings from Module 3, from Strategic Leadership. So we want to bring in the readings about, for example, about vision or strategic thinking, or perhaps about professional learning communities and how that can help sustain change. You want a concrete plan for how to move forward. It doesn't need to be incredibly detailed, but do think through who needs to be involved. What kinds of processes could you use and why? What needs to be considered? And bring in the readings to help us understand your decisions. So it's the basic outline of a plan for moving forward. Now, if we look at section 4, that's a reflection. So that's really you thinking through, now that you've done this, now that you've thought about the context, thought about your identity, thought about a strategic plan, what have you learned? How has it helped you to think about research, policy, yourself? How has it helped you to relate those things to the real on-the-ground work of educational change and leadership? So really, what are your takeaways? What are your takeaways from the unit and from the assignment? How has this learning shaped who you are as a practitioner, as a researcher, as a scholar? All right. We will be talking about this a bit more in the face-to-face, so bring any questions that you have to that class, and you can talk them through with your tutor. Otherwise, it's written in a similar format to the first assignment, an academic style. You can use subheadings. There is a format, suggested format, in the more guidance document if you would like to see an example, but that is only one format. You don't need to go with that. Otherwise, we very much look forward to reading your assignments and seeing your thinking and how your thinking has evolved on your issue and on your context. Best.